who was, there we go.
So most people do not understand a process. One of my personas is I, as a project manager, and have learned that while I may think everybody understands the project management life cycle and what we do and how we do things, the answer is typically not. So in a case like this, you probably shouldn't go in there with the understanding or the expectation, like the four concepts that we're talking about now to get to that ready, that they have any understanding or they've lived through some experience, but it may not be the experience that they should have lived through. So would you advise like walking them through this to tell them the
Yeah.
approach and how they can help with the outcomes? How would you do that?
Yeah, I would explain that the way we're making these highly important decisions, because they when we're at the top of the funnel, the wishful thinking, big ideas, and speculative, we're really doing a portfolio management element.
True.
Which of these things should drop through even further? Now, there will be some things that when they arrive, they are manifestly valuable. Totally, we can identify that. We can identify that they're well formed. The size is well understood there. It's something that could be done within a 1 or 2 sprints if we're using Scrum type processes. Um, and yes, it totally is worth it. And it's so well understood, it's ready. That one will drop down through the funnel very, very quickly.
Okay.
But every request comes in through the same funnel. Some of them drop down incredibly quickly. Those ones that are manifestly valuable, that are ready, that are clear. Right, let's just do this.
Okay.
Versus the others that are, it may be manifestly valuable. It's big. To even begin to do it, we have to do some crushing. We've got to break it up into smaller pieces. Um, and we know that there will be a fair chunk of that overburden, the stuff that goes out through the wastegate.
Right, right. So Aaron, did you have a question? Because I have a a tangential question to what Shane's just asking.
No, I don't.
Okay. So, okay, because I love to take over the conversation here, which is why I get to be the host. Uh, so in that funnel, and I took a screenshot so I could talk back to it. And when our wishful thinking or big ideas, then it gets into the speculative. What if you have the pressure where you have resources sitting there and you don't have enough readies that have plunked to the bottom and are ready to be picked up and worked, but you have resources? How could you take your concept and say, I need at least a little bit of work for somebody to work on while we crush some big rocks? What would you recommend there?
The metaphor extends at this point to I need an X-ray.
You need an
I
extra.
need I need an X-ray machine that can look inside this big chunk and at least see, hey, it looks like there's a gem over here, so
Okay.
carve off this piece.
Okay. All right.
And whether we're talking minimum viable product,
Mhm.
thin slice, that's what we're really doing. We're looking for that small piece that is going to be high value quickly.
Okay, the quick
And I
wins.
carve out that chunk and I
Uh-huh.
break that down. And I might leave the rest sitting up there at speculative or wishful thinking.
Okay. All right.
But I've gone in with a chisel or a jackhammer and I've carved out this, maybe from the 2-ton rock, I've got a 20 kilogram to 40-pound piece
Okay,
that I'm
great.
now breaking down.
So, so
So
my question to Stephanie's is, has that ever happened to you that you have all kinds of resources and no work to do? Uh,
I'm asked the question because I have that type of situation right now where um got a pile, this proverbial truck of things went into the funnel. I had lost a bunch of resources, had where a chance for a couple contract resources is to give them ready tickets. But the clunker was clunking, and I was like, okay, I've got to figure out how to get some to drop so I can get them over there, because if not, the hours, if not used, are lost. So it's kind of like one of those, it's like you never have enough resources, but when you have a resource and it hasn't been, the rock crusher hasn't, the machine hasn't even turned on, how do you get something to drop to the bottom, and how you do it? So I got to find an X-ray machine. Okay. So,
And the X-ray machine really is, what's the experiment? What's the
okay.
um, if we take a lean startup thinking to it, what's the key assumption that is not being validated, and how quickly could we validate that?
Okay, right. In once again, going back to then to the stakeholder saying, okay, you want it, you say there's value, you're very, what's the most polite term? Eager for me to deliver something to you, and putting no pressure at all on anyone to deliver it. But they have to be good partners and answer and spend that time helping to get it from speculative forecasted ready into where that it can get into that suddenly appearing resource that you get to use that was unexpected.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Love it. Love it. So in your funnel that you have, is the funnel looking like, hold on, I'm trying to get my finger to the proper place, not your chin, to what this book looks like? Or is the funnel in your book cover looking a little different? Huh, that's interesting. So everyone, we alerted to the Easter egg. So the book cover I have on mine is not the book cover. So I was thinking of using my co-pilot that I've become very attached to, and you were talking about AI shortly ago, so want to pull that into here and get some interesting thoughts from you. So when I go out there and I say, rock crusher, dot, 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 help me out, provide me with an image of your book, give me all of this, and you were talking about like using AI, that is the book cover it gave me.
Mhm. Yeah. So
So So if I'm quickly trying to get those ready, those little pebbles to those resources using your model and AI, do you have any thoughts for me on how I can ensure that what I'm trying to give them as the prototype is actually like a real thing and not something made up?
oh,
Any
so
suggestions?
I want to say that any prototype is made up anyway.
That's true.
And if I look at that image that's behind you there, we were intrigued before the when we were chatting beforehand that, oh, that's different. Has the
Different. Yeah.
IIBA changed the cover without letting me know? And no, it wasn't. But actually, that's not a bad image. So if
Mm,
we'd had that and three other possible images
mm,
when we came to picking a cover, they might have picked a different one.
right.
So that's the I want to say that the speculative experimental version of what could be.
Right.
And I would um I'm also leaning deeply into the generative AI tools to the
Hmm.
extent where I have created a custom GPT that's called Thinking with Shane that has all of
Ooh.
my ideas embedded in it. I will share that link.
Oh, that would be excellent. Yeah. Because if we can absorb anything more from your great mind to help us with this, that would be great. Because like I said, I used Copilot and I said, took the image that was online, said just throw the book in there, quickly put it out there, went and started reading, making sure that I could, get in all the things that I wanted for outcomes from this, while asking you questions, kind of like all the things I need to know right now to move me forward or just to solidify my approach. And that's what it gave me. So, yes. So, AI is great, but only so great at this point. So you got to use your BA skills to question everything, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah. And we go back to the Babok, chapter 9, the
Okay.
underlying human competencies that
Mhm.
make us successful or not as business analysis professionals. And critical thinking, analytical thinking is number one.
Exactly. And then also to trust but verify. Like, is it really the picture? So I'm calling
Yeah,
myself out because I guess my thing is I don't necessarily look at the book covers. I look at what's inside and think about all of that. So here we go. We got to be careful when we're quickly trying to do things. So I just wanted to call that out only for the fact because it seemed like it was kind of fun and the picture's kind of
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So, all right. So I am going to leverage the information you provided to me. I'm going to use your rock crusher concepts. I'm going to go back to what we were talking about, like educate the people that are going to help me crush these rocks, right? Because it's not a sole endeavor. And try to get to where I can get some ready tickets. And I call them, well, tickets, that's what we call in our world. Ready scopes of work. And
Yep.
and then move along. So as I'm doing that, do you have any advice on how I can educate people or help them? Because we live this world, right? Like this is our
Yep.
world and this is what we do. And we're always striving to learn something more, like how can I can do it better, quicker, faster, more accurate, in all of that. But what do you have advice for me or for us on how we can help educate the people that we coexist with?
I have found the metaphor of rocks with gems inside them actually resonates with people.
Right.
And what we're doing is we're trying to find the gems. We're trying to find those things that are really going to make a difference in whatever the role is or the work is that you're doing. And it works. Just talk to them about, how big is this rock? What are the uh, getting the idea of a well-formed rock.
A well-formed rock, shiny and beautiful by the time
Yeah,
it drops
and
out. Okay,
yep,
worth its.
and it's got
Okay,
that verifiable model and the test.
okay,
So the question I ask to get them thinking of the verifiable model is how will we know?
okay. How will we know?
So what this is your requirement, how will we know this has been met?
Okay,
What do you need to see? So now I'm getting into the verifiable and the test. What do you need to see for us to say that this has delivered the value that is the hypothesis here?
okay. So acceptance criteria, like what would they have you accepted? A
Yep,
demo of
yep,
of
yep. And at
the
what?
proof of concept for 1 to 3, culling out depending on your circumstances, whether you can get some shoppers to help you, or whether you have to just have people that have to do the process or be a part of a holistic process to get something done. Okay. All right. Speaking my language here. All
Yep.
right. And then how have you found ways to really get people to quickly sign off or verify it or ways that, I mean, like how do you do speed rock crushing? Is that
Craft the test
process?
very, very clearly. The test has to be knife edge sharp
Okay. All right.
so
All
that
right.
there's no, yeah, it kind of works, did it? No, it met or it didn't.
Okay. Do
And if
you?
I've got a knife edge sharp test, I can bring something to that knife
Uh-huh.
edge very quickly.
Okay.
And the level of granularity of that test. So if we're down at the top of the thin pipe we've got these ready rocks, the test, the verifiable model is the acceptance criteria for the single user story. And the
Okay.
test is build it and run it.
Okay. and see where it goes.
Because
How?
yeah, at that level, you're right. You're right down at that. You've got that. That's the
Mhm.
best test. But if you're further up, I still need to know how will I know it's worth going to the next level.
Right. And do you, so if you're working with people that, and sorry if I've asked this, maybe
Mhm.
asking it a different way, I've learned a couple of elicitation skills along the way, like maybe two. Anyway, if they don't understand that, meaning understand their role and responsibility in helping us to crush these rocks, how I mean, I can walk them through the model and talk to them about it and use different words, whatever is used internally, or some graphics or some little people or something to like help them imagine what this would be. But how do you help them to understand their role in this so that we can quickly do speed rock crushing? And the speed is only because I'm asking about the speed, not
Yeah,
because it's supposed to be all
mm,
about speed. Everyone is supposed to it, but I just
yeah,
have that curiosity
and,
right.
and the and the pressure is on us at the moment, and will
Yes.
continue in industry in general. Speed is important. We have to uh,
Mhm.
move fast, and we
Hmm.
need to move fast without breaking things. So, my
Yes.
just a slight advertisement. My talk for the FOBA conference, Festival of Business Analysis, coming up in October across Australia and New Zealand, is about how to move fast without breaking things. And
Yeah. Breaking things is not good. That's, I mean, I
yeah,
understand the concept for exploring, but when you have a small amount of resources that need to
yeah,
build and not fix what's broken,
yeah,
you're missing your complete opportunity to build something, right? Because you're not building
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
You're
So
wasting a
building quality in quickly
yes.
is important,
Yes. And that
and
goes back
it's
to principles we learned a long time ago, right? So like the quality, how important quality is.
yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
how do I bring stakeholders on the journey with me?
Okay.
I talk about value, and I talk about value from their perspective constantly.
Okay. So a day in the life of them, like who, what is their persona? Who are they? What do they need out of this? What what could I do to convince them that what we're hearing in recommending is a value and is a good approach? Because we've done the testing and the verifying, saying, okay, we've thought through this, this is what you're saying, and really just doing that. Okay. All right.
And I'm coming back to the verifiable model and the test.
Okay.
This is what you want. How will we know it's there? And show it to me.
Okay. All right. So we get to that point, we get them to sign off and we get moving. So for some of the other stuff, like not other stuff, but we talk, about the making the analysis visible, right? Like how do
Mhm.
we help them to understand how to make that decision, the rationale behind it, all of that. So they're not waffling, meaning
Yeah.
like taking too long, like anxiety. It's like how to think through it so that way when you deliver something, they're just like, that is the package I wanted. Okay. That is the rock. That is the cut
Mhm.
and the glisten.
There,
Okay. All
there
right.
is the gem. There is the
This is the
polished diamond.
okay. So our rock crushing, at least in my faux image, has a machine that's churning and burning and spitting things out, right? Um, how do we, once we've educated people so they get it, right? They understand like this is what we need you to do, how we need you to participate, all of that, the value statements, everything from beginning to end. So they're starting to think that. So when we get on incoming request or just discussions, we're training their brains to help us to get to it quicker. Now, for like one of the concepts you have is metrics and scaling.
Mhm.
So how, based on the situation I'm describing or others that are out there, how do we evolve and mature into that. So it's the machine is just, working, we can get work quickly, right? Because really is the thing right now. I mean, you look at some of the requirements that we have that's out there, and you say that the requirements start rotting. I look at them and say, what we thought 6 months ago that somebody kind of wrote in as a tentative solution isn't even applicable because there's
Yeah.
different technology or direction, right? So opportunity lost on time spent thinking about something that you wouldn't even deliver anymore. So, okay. So what are your thoughts there?
Scaling is where do we scale? Do we scale vertically? Do we scale horizontally? Do we have multiple streams of work? Are we talking about a single product for with where what we're trying to do is get more of it done quicker, or are we talking about multiple products and we have a limited capacity to deliver? So
All of
what
that.
is our scaling approach? Because there's
All
no
of
one
that.
size fits all.
Basically, multiple products, multiple this, multiple that, limited capacity for people, cross work stream, multiple time zones, so sequencing and work just who's where, the resource allocation across the timing of system updates and all of that. So, like, if you can think of it, throw that into that mix. It's there.
Yeah, what you end up with is I know, we've got an image in the book. I'll see if I can find the
Yeah,
electronic.
excellent. See, paperback books are amazing. Okay, here we go. All right,
So
I'm
we
looking.
have that sort of
Mhm.
strategic um, funnel at the top, and
Okay.
that actually drops down into a series of, so at a strategy level, we have a
Yep.
strategic refinement activity going on,
Okay.
portfolio management. And then that drops down, and now we split. We take um, it's going to break the metaphor, but I take different types of rock through different pipes,
Okay. Right.
through
Right.
different crushes. Yeah.
Which is perfect. So the book has an example on what page? Now, what page?
Page 168 is that image.
168 to help me
Yeah,
help solve and evolve my situation. Perfect.
yeah,
See, this
yeah.
is why we wanted to talk to
Yep,
you.
yep.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and we've
hmm,
so at scale, we offer a number of, well, first, scaling practice zero. Do you really need to scale? Because generally, scaling is done for the wrong reasons.
I, I
Um,
scaling always sounds good. Metrics people love.
yeah,
Really, what they want is they want the work done yesterday and to show
yeah,
value and to make money
yeah,
or save money, right? Like save money on doing something, make money, etc. So, you know, they you can use them in I guess, in a nice presentation or whatever, but really it's whatever combination of the strategy and all of that on page 168 that you can come up with to be able to show measurable results that are built with quality. We're not breaking things, and then we can continue to evolve to the next and the next. So it's a constant stream of value
yeah,
overall. So that's really, I mean, when you think about it, like in this day and age too, and I'm not saying this is my situation, but a lot of times leaders will pivot from value to value because they're just trying to get some quick wins, right? Like we've got to have something to show. And so you're
yeah,
literally plucking or grabbing rocks and throwing them into the funnel to say like something has got to shake out. So that way we can present something, show value, show for the resources expended and the time that we have some value. So really
yeah,
that's
Yeah, and you want to get small things done as quickly as possible, like you said, get the value out of them, especially, because you're doing it for an executive and those people quit and get fired really fast. And so you you want to get it done before they get fired, or something.
Okay. We never ever see that, like, ever. Right. Right. Okay. But Kathy, to your point though, that puts the pressure in
Yeah,
the rooms while you're getting out the X-ray machine and you've got people up there with some kind of something, stirring the rocks, trying to like get the quick wins to the bottom, and then hopeful that you have the
yeah.
capacity and the resources and the stuff that lines up. So there is pressure not only for the leaders to like deliver something,
Hmm.
but it's also, it's throughout the whole quarry of people working on these projects. So, so now that we know everybody has the pressure, and we have some tools, we have some newer tools that we have to make sure that we are leveraging properly and they're not hallucinating, or you're not hallucinating yourself in this process. How would you show that value of your efforts or the team efforts back to leadership? So at least if they don't have a million quick wins, they get just a couple, but they feel like you're adding value because you're doing this efficiently in trying to get there. So while today may not feel like a million outcomes, but you're doing this, so like it's coming. You're gonna feel it. The valley is gonna shake.
How do
Yeah, well,
you? Mhm. Go ahead.
I mean, for me, it's always been about either the values, either increasing funds or reducing risk of losing money, something like that, right?
Okay.
Like for example, it could be to do with fixing things so that we are, um, we're not uh, going to get audited and fail an audit, that kind of thing. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, because that can be as big of a deal as as trying to make more money. It's you
Mhm.
don't want to lose things and get fined and all that kind of stuff. So I've done a
Because
lot of projects that were about not getting fined.
oh, oh, that's
So
interesting.
what? So we come back to what constitutes value, and as the business analysis professional, we have to have an absolute clear picture of, for this organization, for this initiative, for this rock, what is value? And if I can't define that, and the well-formed rock with the verifiable test, that exposes, that forces us to get the value. So value is complying with a piece of legislation so we're not going to get fined. Well, great. How will we know we have complied?
Yeah.
What is the gemstone, the smallest piece that I can show is that we are compliant?
Okay.
Good point. Yeah.
So Kathy, in your case, when you're talking about the requirements, it's what regulations that you're looking
Typically, yeah, it's typically new regulations that have come up for how you handle something or other, whatever it is,
at?
you know. Um, so it's and it could have to do with human resources, it could have to do with sales and and customers payment information. It could be anything, right? All those, anything like that. Or I mean, it just depends, you know. And so the way that that you've gotten it right is if, you know, you've done exactly, if you're doing exactly how they say you have to, it has to be done, and you've put everything in place to make that happen. And then you've auditors have come in and you've passed.
Okay. So
So
monitor and measure, await
yeah,
an audit, preparation for the audit. So that's all part of
yeah.
the requirements, right? Part of like,
In many,
okay.
depending on exactly what you're doing, you might have to wait for an audit. It depends on if you You know, on the other hand, you may be able to determine that what you've done and what you've put in place, it won't matter whether you get audited or not. You're fine, you know.
Okay.
But you have to understand all that stuff, and you have to get uh internal audit or whoever else is, knows what they're doing in the organization, and get them to verify it and sign off on it.
So one of your value is risk mitigation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. Like
Absolutely.
that's the value,
hmm
risk
I
mitigation. Okay.
I've done a lot of business cases that were based on mitigation of risk.
Okay. All right. So what's good, Shane, is that your model is not just about delivering something to make money or efficiencies, it's risk mitigation. So you could use it across different
Yeah.
cases. Do you have any examples of that? Other examples, Shane, or that you'd like to share on how people have been able to do that?
Well, I've done it with, I think of a large financial institution where we were working in the Treasury Department,
Oh,
and they are subject to all sorts of legislation and rules and so forth. And we wanted to move faster and bring in an iterative, incremental, and agile type approach to delivering some of their products.
okay.
And the first conversation was, we can't do this because we've got all of this legislative burden that we have to comply with. And and our current process is we do the compliance at the end. And we challenged that. Unfortunately, the leadership in that division was open to listening and to talking and experimenting, and to spend some money to allow us to experiment. So we engaged the external and the internal auditors, and we
Okay.
brought them in and we said, okay, here is the process we're looking at using. Here is what we understand of compliance. What do we need to do to shift compliance from being something at the end to continuous compliance?
Okay.
And it ended up, and it took a while to really talk through exactly what we needed to produce. But basically, we had an artifact, a document that was produced at the end of every iteration, every sprint. We had about 3 hours work of work for a couple of people in the team to show the auditable, traceable compliance for the work we've just done.
Okay. Excellent.
And that kept us continuously compliant and allowed us to deliver more frequently. And in fact, from an audit perspective, they were more comfortable with it because there was any deviation was picked up very, very early, as opposed to you've now got to wait until the end.
Okay.
But it took a little bit of enlightened leadership and some hard discussions
Okay.
where we were able to challenge the status quo. We've always done it that way.
Right. So in a case like that, when you say like sustainable documents,
Mm.
so from an audit perspective, they come in and they want to look for policies. They want to look for procedures. They want desk procedures. They want to understand the current state, the process flow. Then they want to select a time period of which they're going to sample that so that they can go and extract information and say, did you do it per your existing or non-existing operating procedures, policies, et cetera? And I mean, that's from many times from an audit perspective, even IT, financial,
Yeah.
they're thinking along that structure, the risk assessment, what's high risk, what's low risk, et cetera. So you're able to take your model and then be able to develop people changing a mindset for overall compliance by leveraging your model.
Well, it was the concept of the verifiable model in the test.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it's like applicable even there. So Kathy, that's meaningful, right? Because like that's part of your world. So being able to take
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
repeatable process that we were just talking about, like how do I get somebody to deliver something that may be a value or save a manual process, and then you can extract that and model it and use it to lower your risk and have repeatable processes.
Yeah. Good point. Hmm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's excellent. That is excellent. So very universal model, so it's not just about that. All right.
Yeah,
That
so that philosophy of a well-formed rock, the intent, the verifiable model, and the test,
mhm,
and it applies at whatever level of granularity you need. It puts pressure on us
right.
to think about, if I've got an intent, gee, it would be cool if,
Hmm.
how will I know, and how will I prove it?
Okay. All right. And those are terms that anybody can wrap their mind around,
Yeah.
quite honestly. Love it. Love it. So Kathy, new way of or old way of thinking what you're doing. So
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
very
There's, yeah. Very helpful.
okay, excellent. All right. So we've been talking for quite some time. So the question is does anybody have any questions? Things they want to bring up, anything that they want to share before we get back into some other interesting things to get from Shane.
I have a question. So I can see that
We can barely hear you, Bill.
sorry. I just realized the boom was up. Um, the book, is it by chance? I see it on Amazon. Is it on tape at all? Audio.
We haven't done an audiobook yet.
Okay. Thank you.
It's sort of, this is in the backlog, and it's been there for more than 6 months.
That's funny. That's hilarious. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
So maybe we can have a reading session, Phil, at one of our chapters.
There you go.
You can read through it, take turns.
Yeah.
I think that'd be honestly fun.
I
So
did too.
explore the topics as we go through them because there's so many more things that we're not going to be able to cover today, by the way. And we are going to look at page 168 immediately. All right. All right. So anybody else have anything? Because my next question will be, so we've pulled all these people along. We've taught them some things like how to understand, how to think, how to understand value in whatever way it needs to be, help us to deliver outcomes. But as a leader who is in the process, but not the day to day, they've got a million other things. How do you take what we're doing and present it or share it back with them so that they feel like they're getting the value out of these concepts? Have you have you had any examples or successes on how to like make leaders happy in the process that you're following something that's viable and good and repeatable?
We do actually present a metric.
Okay.
There is now a number, a metric that we can work with to have a conversation at a leadership level about what is our, and it's appetite for risk and learning, and that helps us to consider how are we generating the maximum value. And this is the thing we call the crush ratio. So the crush ratio, and I have a slide for it, and it links to strategy. Michael Porter, the essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. So the crush ratio is the proportion, number of things that come in at the top compared to what goes out through the thin pipe versus the wastegate.
Okay.
And it's telling us as an organization, what is our level of turbulence? What is our level of change? And the ratio goes from 0 to 1. 0 means anything coming in is going out the wastegate. We're not actually delivering anything. And what that's telling me is we're throwing ideas in without any value, and they're pretty useless, and our filtering process is just discarding them.
Okay.
So now we know we've got a serious organizational issue in picking things that are worth doing. At the other end is everything that comes in goes out through the thin pipe. A crush ratio of 1. Nothing is going out the wastegate. Everything coming in and going out. We're not experimenting. We're not learning. We're not trying new things. We are being totally predictable.
Okay.
Both of those extremes are dangerous.
Right. Because there's no strategy.
Yeah. Where your organization sits, what is a good ratio for you is very much depends upon the volatility in your industry, the structure of your environment, often the age of your products as well. So if I'm in a startup, or I'm getting into a new business area, I would expect my uh, crush ratio to be quite low. Maybe 75% of the ideas that come in get discarded and only 25% come through.
Okay.
If I'm in an existing stable environment where most of what we're doing is enhancing our existing products, we're not doing a lot of new things, then I would expect a crush ratio of about 0.75. About
Okay.
75% of what's coming in is going through because it is so well understood.
Right.
So now I need to consider what is the appropriate crush ratio based around our organization context.
Okay.
And I don't force the crush ratio, but I look to see, does it feel right? Are we in a volatile industry and yet 2/3 of what we're doing or what comes in still comes out through the thin pipe? Then are we being too change resistant? Or are we in a stable environment and only 10% of what comes in is going out through the thin pipe, in which case we're being too scatterbrained?
Okay.
So what is right, of course, is that the good old business analysis answer, it depends. But
Depends.
having the conversation about what is appropriate is a powerful, both at a strategic level, but also further down, because it helps us think about what is the approach, the appetite and risk for learning.
Right. And when like this is excellent. And then when I'm looking at this and applying it to this scenario that I've been discussing, you have some fluctuations or some pressure points, right? So there may have been a status quo. You have that leadership shakeup, right? You have demand for people to come up with AI and automation and all kinds of things to try to like quick wins or whatever they would be to show some results quickly. And so your your metrics change, right? It status quo, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of rotting things, but people have been acting in the same manner for quite some time. And then all of a sudden you get that influx, a whole bunch of dump trucks just rolled up with some rocks out of the quarry. And the leadership value statement has changed, perhaps. And so you can't rely on what you were thinking before. And you also have to explain that perhaps to the leaders because they will look at existing Gantt charts and say,
Mhm.
why is this project taking too long? You said it was going to be done and you keep extending it. What's going on in your world that makes you not be able to complete these efforts on time and all of that? But you have all of those existing status quo that really had a whole new load of rocks that have been dropped in and have to go through that process. Do you have any recommendations on how to adjust or work with that metrics in that time of heavy fluctuation where the whole environment is in what was before is not now and what will not be in X amount of months?
So we're living in that state of flux. Well,
Right.
one of the conversations is, what does this mean to and talking about crush ratio? Actually
Mhm.
sit down with leaders, get that concept of the crush ratio across,
Okay.
and then say, okay, well, we're about to blow our crush ratio. We're gonna be discarding a whole lot of stuff because, hey, we've got this 3 years backlog that is now no longer valid.
Right. Right.
You recognize that that's what's going to happen to this metric,
Mhm.
and it's useful, and we're going to have a lot of pain because there are people who think that these 3 years worth of things are worth doing,
Oh, yeah.
and we've just invalidated them.
Mhm.
So we have to have the conversation. How are we going to communicate that all of this stuff that used to be worthwhile is dead?
Okay. It's true. I mean, they're going to mourn the loss of their prior backlog. They've looked at
Yeah,
it, they've loved it, they've
yeah,
reported out on it.
yeah.
It's a safety blanket, right? Like it's there. We know there's work that we can do. We can add value. Okay. All right. I love that crush ratio. All right. So my goal has to be on how to take the prior one, interpret it into the new one, and help them to understand what it means, the evolution, and then going back to the other concepts to say, now that you've changed, how will you define your values, right? Like, how are these things of value that you used to love? And what do they mean and go forward while still finding some quick wins in training people in the concepts that can be used everywhere. Okay. Right. No small challenge here.
No small challenge.
No small challenge, but I've got the perfect guide and person that can help me to understand and think through this logically and use some solid concepts that are repeatable and stand the test of time. Okay. Whew. Wow. You have really given us a lot of really great insights. I have to say that. A lot of great ones. All right. So, Aaron, I think we have about 15 minutes left. The original invite said to 7:30 Eastern. I just want to correct that because I have some questions about what drove you and a few other types of things that I've been dying to ask, but really wanted to ask my scenario and get some personal mentoring here. So Aaron, is that correct? We have about 15 minutes?
That's 13.
Okay, all right. So, and we want to make sure everybody gets their questions in too. So if you don't mind,
Mhm.
um, so what, and I love this, this is one of my favorite questions. I can't lie. What is your favorite technique or tool that you either described in the book or feel that would complement it? Like if we as the Bluegrass chapter wanted to further explore and do a technique and show people, what would you recommend that we do?
The well-formed rock, the concept of that well-formed rock. So many backlog items across so many organizations have got an intent. They
Mm-hmm.
don't have the clarification of the verifiable model and the test. We only get to the verifiable model and the test right at the end when we're about to take that user story and elaborate it to detail and build it, the
Okay.
acceptance criteria. So that is a point where we have a very well-formed model,
Mm-hmm.
well-formed rock. It's got the rock, it's got the verifiable model, and it's got the test, the user story with the acceptance criteria, and we build it and run the test. So that's the we're used to doing that at the implementation level. What we're not used to doing is climbing that higher up in earlier, bigger chunks to help us define should we even do this?
Okay. So is it like a value-based prioritization,
Yeah,
some
it
stakeholder
goes into
collaboration?
that.
Okay.
It
All
goes
right.
into our calculation, of course. How
Mm-hmm.
big is it? How ready is it? How valuable is it?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's that thinking even at the most at that very first, we want to do one of these.
Okay. So
How
really
will I know?
go up to the top. And we don't often spend a lot of time there talking about how to get to that next layer down.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could explore that and really take some scenarios and really try to work our way down. Okay. I like that. So Aaron, is that a thought? Like we could explore that opportunity? I think he's saying yes. I'm hoping he's saying yes. We're gonna make it a yes. Okay. All right. So for all of us here, what would you want us to walk away today really thinking about or wanting to really dive in deeper about? Is there any of the concepts in here that you just really feel passionate about that you like just go look at this, dive in, learn?
What's your crash ratio?
Okay.
What should it be? And how do you make sure that we discard stuff through the wastegate?
Okay. All right. I'm going to be doing that. It's like starting tomorrow personally. So, okay. Because I need that. I've got a meeting coming up in like a week and a half where this I is going to be the way that I can help them to understand where they're working from, what they're asking, and help them to make sure that they feel that they're making the right decision. So this is like perfect timing. Okay. So, another question. So in the BA space, there's a lot of core concepts, a lot of things, that you've helped us with. Are you exploring anything new or reinventing something old that we should look out for or, just stay tuned and anything upcoming and new? I mean, you've got your
I
chance. You should.
there is the FOBA conference coming up. I've
Okay.
got 2 sessions there. Let me pop them up. The first one, the in-person one, is we're calling it Excel analysis in the accelerated world, and it's about getting back to basics and move fast without breaking things.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. And
And the
so, go ahead.
and the other one, which I'm doing on the FOBA remote sessions, is customer-centric analysis, building products that people actually want.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah, and
Imagine
that's
that. Will we
yeah.
be learning how to take those core concepts back to basics and really figure out how to still leverage our core competencies in like this fast-paced world then? Meaning we've got
Yeah,
a lot of new things coming our way that we have to manage and have it be an expert in while learning them real time along with a bunch of other people. Will you help us there?
yeah, that's the back to basics one, the analysis in
Okay.
the accelerated world. Yeah,
Okay, excellent. So
and it
that's something to look.
really and a hint. I have a Formula One metaphor all the way through that one.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a couple people here that love racing. It just happens to be horse racing because this is the
Yeah,
Bluegrass
Kentucky.
in Kentucky. So will you be able to like relate the Formula One to the horses?
Oh
Maybe?
yeah.
Okay. All right. I got some experts here that could help you with that. So, okay. All right. So, Shane, do you have any challenges for us or any questions for us as an enraptured audience of people that have learned so much today that you'd like to either challenge or just give us some advice?
Well, what's the toughest part of business analysis today?
Hmm. Sanity, um, expect.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
I just blew my mind. I'm thinking about it. What is the toughest part today? That's a very good question. I think it's mostly relationships, keeping,
Hmm.
building trust within an organization, keeping up with technology. I think that's probably one of the hardest, probably, probably the hardest.
Hmm.
That's my answer. I'll go with that one. Keeping up with the technology.
How to maintain being an expert.
Yeah, absolutely. Technology though moves so fast today
Hmm.
that it's really almost difficult to, if you were to pull up process flows or data flows from 2 years ago, they're probably no longer relevant.
Yeah.
There's new softwares, there's new better ways to do things. It's just I mean it's good because it keeps us all in business, but it's also terrifying because it's like you blink and everything changed.
Right.
Yeah, as soon as you've documented it, it's too old.
Right. It's already old.
Right.
That's the truth.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And what's interesting about that is I've been personally exploring a lot of the AI concepts that are out there are where my employer is they encourage everybody to spend X amount of hours learning AI. So I said, oh, I got a couple extra hours of the week and I think I'll just dig in deep and see what it brings. And so it's interesting. In some ways, it's terrifying. In other ways, it's the challenge on how you take our core concepts, things even back from the 80s, which are still rock solid, by the way, and say, how do I leverage these new things? How do I show other people so you can provide that value, right? And still keep your, not your I'm going to use the word sanity again because it's like, it's that evolution. And also too, it's just like I'm going to go back to accuracy. I mean, you can go to a meeting, take the transcript, put it through AI with about 20 other transcripts, and it'll give you something. But is it giving you what you need to know? Is it giving you with accuracy? So we still have to know what we're doing and how to do it and how to leverage these concepts, even with all of this data, because there's more data now than there ever has been, right? Like more information that you can ask AI in 20 different ways. And then it becomes almost too much information because what do you do with it?
The underlying human competencies. And I'll lean back into chapter 9 of the Babok and add to it familiarity with the AI tools.
Okay.
So, chapter 9 talks about analytical thinking, problem solving, personal behavior characteristics, ethics, personal accountability, trustworthiness,
Hmm.
um, industry acumen, communication skills, facilitation skills, um, and then tools and techniques. Well, the tools and techniques today need to include the generative AI tools.
Okay. So, all right. So the
But
things
all of
that
the
we
other pieces have not changed.
right, which is good. So, Bill, that should give us some confidence, not confidence, but feeling confident, right? Like you have the people that I know here have those skills. They are rock solid. You teach them all the time, you demonstrate them, you live them.
That's right.
So, thumbs up to that, right? We're
I,
good there. So it's just chapter 9 and then bringing in the AI tools and saying, how can we use them? Which ones are of value? Right? Like kind of going back to what we started out there, like how do we know what value there is and what to do with it?
absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel much better now. Yeah. Because I mean that's a real challenge, right? Like you asked the
Yeah.
question, like, where is this? Aaron, did you have a thought on that? You always have great thoughts.
No.
Okay. Color me surprised. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Well, no pressure. All right. Well, Shane, it has been a sheer delight being able to have this conversation, and we would love to have more of these with you in the future. I mean, just the concepts and all of that that you've shared has been very meaningful and very relevant, and really just quite honestly, you're at the very end, you're asking that question, and it's just the, understanding like we just need to keep doing what we're doing. Just add a few more things to our toolkit, and we're going to be fine. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for having me, folks. I
Thank you.
really enjoyed the conversation.
I did as well. So thank you for all of your time, and we look forward to spending time with you again in the future. And everyone, thank you for joining us. Make sure you share. Go ahead.
I did pop into the chat window a PDF file that is the infographic of the whole rock crusher model.
Okay.
Cool.
So,
Thanks.
Excellent. Perfect. And if we do any BA tools and technique workshop, we do some in our social area. It will make sure that you are aware of it in case you want to pop in or just even understand the outcomes from how we're going to leverage some of your concepts and really work on that higher level part of that funnel and really explore that with some of the different tools and techniques so we can dig in and learn some things in a collaborative game type of way. So we'll get that planned. So that should be a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll wrap up for today. It's been another quarterly BA Book Nook with our newest friend, Shane Hastie. And I hope all of you take the opportunity to purchase the book and really dive in. I mean, it's given us some great pages and references, 168 for me. And we'll see everybody soon. So thank you again.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take
Have
care.
a good
Good night.
evening.